Hello everyone. Welcome to Ludo History, and welcome to Assassin's Creed Community Relief. We're benefiting, or this is a charity stream benefiting Save the Children, and as you can see, raising funds for earthquake relief as part of the devastating event that hit Turkiye and Syria. So I am joined by some incredible folks from the Assassin's Creed community today. If we just want to go down the list and introduce ourselves.
So, hello. My name is Arshak. I am the founder of AC Landmarks on Twitter, and we're also on Instagram. What we basically do is we give you insights historical insights on Assassin's Creed topics, whether it be landmarks, um, historical figures, events, you name it. We probably have it on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, I thought to do this initiative, but we'll talk about it more. I'm gonna let everyone else introduce themselves.
All right, next up, Zark, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. My name is Zark. You may also know me as Master Hecate Ceremonials. In the Twitch chat, I go by Azure Archangel 829. I am a virtual photographer and streamer by the AC fandom, and I also hosted a series of what we call Discovery Tours, similar to this one with Arch the Assassin, and Bird Crusader last summer for AC15. You can consider this a continuation of those tours. But in this case, this is for charity, so it's all for a very good cause. I look forward to discussing this history with you. It was very interesting just going back into this game and learning all of the cool history behind it. And
Yeah.
with that out of the way, I will give it over to either Assassin M or Burn Crusader.
All right, Assassin M, do you want to go next?
Hello, everyone. I am assassins_m on Twitter, and I'm the guy who made the tour series about Syria and Constantinople the last week. And today I'm joining everybody here to talk about Syria.
Awesome. And Joseph, I think you're last up.
Hello, everyone. I am Joseph. I am also known as Historian's Perspective on Twitter and Burden Crusader on other social media, such as for my gaming on PlayStation, as well as my YouTube, where I casually stream myself. And I will be acting as the historian here from from AC Landmarks, and I look forward to have you guys see all our content.
Awesome. So, here's the plan for today, folks. We are doing a quasi-discovery tour of part of Assassin's Creed 1. There's a lot of landmarks in the game, as it turns out. Going through all of them would be not super doable. So, we are going to focus in on Masyaf and Damascus, and go through some of the landmarks. At each stage, we're going to give some historical information about the landmarks, and then come back here to have a discussion, interact with you all, and raise money for a good cause. On that note, though, this is a charity stream. As you can see up at the top, we do have a tracker for the current donations over the Assassin's Creed Community Relief Project. Do make sure you hit that !donate in chat in order to receive a link to the donation page, or scan the QR code down in the bottom left corner. All of that goes to a good cause. Save the Children does incredibly important work, providing both material needs, psychological support, and a healthy recovery environment for children, for the most vulnerable people affected by social and natural disasters. And all of the funds we are raising today and throughout the Assassin's Creed Community Relief Project are going to go directly towards helping earthquake relief and ensuring recovery for the people most deeply affected by this disaster. To help you along with that, though, we have some giveaways that are going to be going on throughout the stream, and I am going to throw it over to Arsh to talk more about those.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of giveaways to give. And the way you enter, there are two types of giveaways. There will be free giveaways and there will be raffle prize giveaways. And those raffle prize giveaways will be the Valhalla Ultimate Edition, and stuff like the Ezio collection, too. So you guys might want to stick around because we will be opening the raffles for them as we go throughout the topics. But for now, we are opening the Valhalla Ultimate Edition raffle for $10 donation. So what you want to do is donate $10 and above, and you have to make your name the same as your Twitch name so that we know that you donated for it, and specify what things you want to be entered into in the comment section of the Tiltify page. For example, if you want to enter into Valhalla Ultimate Edition, write Valhalla Ultimate Edition. If you want to enter into Ezio Collection, eventually write Ezio Collection. The Ezio Collection will be for Switch, but for right now, I think just to start things off, we are gonna do a giveaway for 1 month Nitro, and you can enter the code like exclamation point Nitro uh, to participate in it, but do it when the mods tell you to do it. But yeah, we're excited to uh, do this for the fundraiser and also give back to Ludo History's community for participating and helping kids in Syria and Turkey. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I also do want to highlight one other prize that is going to open up right now and run throughout the entire stream. Any donation of any size through that Tiltify link to Save the Children is going to enter you into a raffle to win a Tobii Eye Tracker 5. This is a super cool piece of hardware that enhances your gaming experience. By following where you are on screen, it's able to create a pseudo VR experience on your desktop, improving the immersivity of your favorite Assassin's Creed games through super duper advanced technology. That's going to be any size donation at any point over the next 2 hours. We'll be giving that away live on stream at the end of the Discovery Tour, so get those donations in now.
Also to add, if you want the Tobii donation, and you enter in for Valhalla Ultimate Edition, for example, you can write in Valhalla Ultimate Edition and Tobii, that's Tobii. As long as I know that you are entering for those two giveaways, I will put your name up and we'll choose you in random to make it fair for everyone to participate in any sort of raffle giveaway. So yeah, thought to make that clear.
Fantastic. Yep. So once again, folks, just make sure you specify what things you want to be entered into those raffles for. As you're making those donations, again, those all go towards a huge cause, and these are some super cool giveaways, graciously provided by Discord, by Ubisoft, and by Tobii. So, without further ado, I think it's time for us to get started. with this Assassin's Creed 1 Discovery Tour. First up on the list is that I am going to give you a brief introduction to the historical context of the entire game with the Third Crusade.
Let's do it.
So, at the start of Assassin's Creed, the political climate in the region of what is now the Levant is, a technical term, a hot mess. Thanks to quasi-colonial efforts in the late 11th century, for Christian or Frankish, to use the term in both Christian and Islamic sources, polities had emerged, surrounded on three sides by Islamic polities. The constant skirmishing and fighting of the period intensified in the 1190s with the Third Crusade, led by Richard the Lionheart, the King of England, Philip Augustus, the King of France, and the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, against the Ayyubid Sultan Salah al-Din. The goal of the Third Crusade was supposedly to recapture Jerusalem from Salah al-Din, but it went very far south. That being said, in Assassin's Creed, a fairly straightforward dichotomy is clear. There are Islamic cities, like Acre, or like Damascus, apologies. There are Christian cities, like Acre, and the disputed city of Jerusalem. As you tour each of those places, you just see three very distinctive styles. This is a framework that actually does appear in our primary sources. Ibn al-Athir, the primary Muslim chronicler of the period, speaks of cities full of mosques, while European chroniclers like William of Tyre speak of cities full of churches, Muslim and Christian. However, relatively recent scholarship has disputed this on two distinct fronts. The first angle of dispute comes from the political organization of the period. Looking at this map from Encyclopedia Britannica, the Christian territories were split between the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the County of Tripoli, the Principality of Antioch, the County of Edessa, and the Kingdom of Armenia, with more distinct influence off the edge of the screen from the Byzantine Empire. Unsurprisingly, if you know anything about medieval Islam, you know that these did not get along. And so, there are as many disputes and shifting alliances between each of these Christian kingdoms as there are between Christian and Muslim borders. Add to this the militant holy orders like the Order of the Temple and the Order of St. John, better known as the Knights Templar and the Hospitallers, who were funded by international networks and therefore not subject to any of the nobility in the region. We see that the whole landscape of the Outer Realms, or Outremer, was frequently chaotic. Islamic politics wasn't a whole lot better. The broad Seljuk Empire was full of factions like the Sultanate of Rum, the Burids, and the Zengids in the mid-1100s, with the Ayyubids rocking up at the end of the century and just completely changing the landscape. These all fought with Egypt, with the Fatimids and then the Ayyubids, and with each other regularly. The second development is how multicultural it is. The traditional view of the Christian kingdoms treats them as basically colonies, the Christian elite huddled in cities ruling over and extracting wealth from a rural Muslim underclass. Certainly these hierarchies do exist, and to some extent the Christian minorities in them did gather in urban settlements or fortifications like the Croix de Chevalier there. Hang on just a sec while we ban a bot. However, more recent examinations have found that the region was much more diverse, with Christian, Jewish, and Islamic merchants and pilgrims finding communities in rural and urban areas alike across the political borders. There is still violence between the elite, but there's a lot of room for cultural coexistence despite that. To give a quick rundown of the Third Crusade and its timeline, in 1187, Salah al-Din captures the city of Jerusalem. In response, the Pope calls a crusade, which has two goals: one, to reinforce the army of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and to capture Jerusalem from Salah al-Din. Frederick Barbarossa answers the call first, but he drowns on the way. The King of Jerusalem, Guy de Lusignan, bogs down besieging Acre in 1189. He's reinforced first by Philip Augustus, and then by Richard the Lionheart in 1191, and the city is captured shortly thereafter. That being said, immediately afterwards, internal conflicts with the Crusader forces comes to a head, and Philip Augustus goes back to France. So Richard the Lionheart leads the crusade solo for about a year, and after fairly intense, protracted conflict, and more than a couple high-profile assassinations among the nobility of the Outremer, Richard and Salah ad-Din negotiate the Treaty of Jaffa in 1192, and Richard shortly thereafter leaves the Levant. He then gets kidnapped on the way back in Bavaria, but that's a different story. Alright. So that is our super basic rundown of what's going on. The Third Crusade, I think the lesson to take away from it is that it is a hot mess.
Yeah, I know. The Third Crusade is just like filled with like this kind of Middle Ages war. I think it's a bunch of Europeans trying to come over and conquer lands, but then there's like resistance to that. So it's just it's in a time period where like two ideologies are being fought over, which makes it perfect for Assassin's Creed, right?
It's complex, right? Because yes, there is to some extent this framing of very clear, right? The kings of Europe, in a way that no other crusade does. The Third Crusade is the kings of Europe going against the most powerful Islamic noble in the world, in a way that no other crusade really does. That being said, right, the really conservative view of this as a real clash of civilizations doesn't really match the evidence on the ground for what's going on in the Frankish and Islamic kingdoms. Like, these places are incredibly diverse, and even Ibn al-Athir, Salah al-Din's personal chronicler, has this moment where he, like, talks about the Templars fighting in a skirmish with Seljuk forces, and then they just stop to let some pilgrims through. Like, both sides are both like, wait, hold on. There are some pilgrims coming through? We've got to let them get through, get on their way to Jerusalem, and then we'll go back to beating each other up. Okay? So, like, when it gets down to it, the, like, high-level narrative of these European kings and this immediate on-the-ground religious negotiation are two radically different pictures, and that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's also this like I feel like there's miscommunications happening all across this like Third Crusade era, which is like bringing more war ahead. Don't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Right, the period immediately before the Third Crusade is a period of relative stability. Like, there still is basically constant violence between Nur al-Din, the Zengrid Sultan, and the, like, Baldwin III of Jerusalem. And the Second Crusade's only 50 years earlier. But, like, there is the, like, 1080s, or the 1180s is, like, this relatively stable period, where things seem to be coming in. And, yeah, Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus royally fuck that over.
Yeah. I mean, there's also Richard the Lionheart too in here. Like, he's a big figure. One of the first big Assassin's Creed historical figures to don the video game sphere of like historical storytelling.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as an individual, I think he was troublesome during this crusade. But I mean, I kind of like how they handled Richard Richard the Lionheart in this game. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's super interesting. Richard the Lionheart is what we call a messy person. He, a lot of our reputation of him as like good King Richard, of like the Errol Flynn Robin Hood movie and all of this other media, as Magistrate notes, is actually in chat. Is primarily because of his mother, like, fundraising for him incredibly hard for his entire life. But when it comes down to it, what Richard is like super good at is doing violence. His reception in England is actually he burns most of the English treasury to fund the Third Crusade, and leaves King John to clean up the mess. But he is incredibly good at fighting, and like chroniclers, every primary source we have super respects how good he is at fighting. Whether he was a good ruler is a bit of a different question, but he's absolutely a super important figure, and was a natural choice for Assassin's Creed 1 to really lean into.
Yeah. I forgot. Did Assassin's Creed also show Saladin or no?
They talk about him all the time, but I don't believe Saladin ever shows up, like, on screen in Assassin's Creed 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say we only hear him mentioned by the heralds, but we don't see an on-screen appearance from him at all.
And
He was
Al-Mualim
actually,
talks about him all the time, of being like, oh yeah, Saladin fighting with Richard, and he doesn't show up in game.
He was actually planned to show up in the game because a long time ago people found art assets of Salah ad-Din, and even in the old game manual they had like a concept art of him, like a built-in model, basically, like a complete model.
Ooh.
But for whatever reason, probably budget or time, they decided to cut his section out.
Well,
Interesting.
that happens. All right. And on that note, I think we should talk more about Saladin and about Assassin's Creed in just a moment by going back to our next entry. But firstly, I believe we have a giveaway.
I don't see the giveaway Nitro code being inputted yet. I think Rapturus is still working on it. So I think we can name the winner on the second topic, and while we're naming the free giveaway winner, we can also name the raffle giveaway winner for Ultimate Edition.
Perfect.
What do you think?
I think that makes perfect sense. So as a reminder, folks, get those as soon as the mods have it up. Make sure you input that code in Twitch chat to be entered for the giveaway for 1 month of Nitro. Additionally, get those donations in right now, because after the next encyclopedia entry, we are going to do a giveaway of a copy of Valhalla Ultimate Edition.
Also,
I want to pardon me, but I want to take this time to thank the I think there have been 3 donations since the stream started. We want to thank give thanks to the 2 anonymous donations, as well as Tex Alex or Assassin's Creed series in the chat. He has been very generous throughout this entire fundraiser, donating a lot, as well as giving us a lot of challenges during gameplay streams. But he just recently made a $40 donation to the cause. Thank you very much again for your donation and all your donations.
And in the comments, he did put a little wink at me, saying, "May the Father of Understanding guide us." Arsh, let's play with the numbers again while learning a bit of history, people. May the Father of Understanding guide us, Alex. Man.
Amazing.
Because we are both Templars.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Perfect. I think Let's then throw over to the next encyclopedia entry, with Joseph going to introduce us to the Nizari and the Assassin movement.
All right, everyone, let's start with the beginning of how the Assassins were founded, with the founding of the Nizari state. You guys can all hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the Nizari Ismaili state. I do not speak Arabic, so please do not hate me for my pronunciation of a lot of these words. Better known as the Assassins or Hashashin, were founded by Hassani Sabah. The state was founded in 1090 after the capture of Alamet Castle in modern-day Iran, which served as the Assassin headquarters. The Alamet and the Lamsar castles became the foundation of a network of Ismaili fortresses throughout Persia and Syria that formed the backbone of assassin power, and included were the Syrian strongholds of Masyaf, Abu Kubais, Al-Qaidmas, and Al-Kaf. The Nizari Ismaili state was ruled by Hassani Sabah until his death in 1124. The Western world was introduced to the assassins by the works of Marco Polo, who understood the name as deriving from the word hashish. Hassani Sabah was born in Qom in 1050 and did his religious studies in Cairo with the Fatimids. Sabah's father was a Catanite Arab, said to be a descendant of the Himyaritic kings, having emigrated from Qom from Kufa. His support of Nizar ibn al-Mustansir in the succession crisis resulted in his imprisonment and deportation. He made his way to Persia, where through subterfuge, he and his followers captured Alamet Castle in 1090. This is the beginning of the Nizari Ismaili state and the assassins. After laying claim to the fortress at Alamet, Saba began expanding his influence outwards to nearby towns and districts, using his agents to gain political favor and to intimidate the local populations. Spending most of his days at Alamet, producing religious works and developing doctrines for his order, Saba would never again leave his fortress. Shortly after establishing their headquarters at Alamet Castle, the sect captured Lamsar Castle to be the largest of the Ismaili fortresses and confirming the assassins' power in northern Persia. The estimated date of the capture of the Lamsar varies between 1096 and 1102. The castle was taken under the command of Kia Buzurg Umid, later Saba's successor, who remained commandant of the fortress for 20 years. The assassins seized Persian castles at Rukkan and Gerdku in 1096 before turning to Syria. Gerdku was refortified by Muhayyad al-Din Muzaffar ibn Ahmad Mustafi, a Seljuk who was a secret Ismaili convert, and his son Sharaf al-Din Muhammad. There, they occupied the fortress of Shazar, held by the Banu Muqid, using it to spread terror to Isfahan, the heart of the Seljuk Empire. A rebellion by the local population drove the assassins out, but they continued to occupy a smaller fortress in Kalinjan. In 1097, Barkirak, associated Bursuk, was killed by assassins. In the 12th century, we have an individual known as Rashid al-Din Sanan, the Old Man of the Mountain. Not much is known about this man, but his full name is Rashid ad-Din Asinan. He was the leader of the Syrian branch of the Hashashin during the Third Crusade. This was a very dangerous and crucial time for the sect. During this time, the Hashashin paid an annual tribute to the Templars. This kept them safe from Crusader attack by Nur al-Din, a leader that reorganized the Muslim armies and allowed them to fight back against the Crusaders, who kept attacking the sect. In the meantime, another threat arose in the form of Saladin. Saladin and Nur al-Din were Sunni Muslims and saw the Shiite beliefs of the Hashashin as heresy. This meant that the Hashashin were caught between three enemies. Concerned by the growing power of Saladin, in 1173, Sinan took steps to reinforce the shaky peace held with the Crusaders. These following events have been debated by scholars for over 800 years. Some sources, such as the renowned historian William of Tyre, believe that Sinan sent emissaries to King Almaric I of Jerusalem proposing an alliance. Sinan even offered to convert to Christianity as a sign of a newly found peace treaty. One key factor of this alliance was to end the tribute payments to the Templars. Interestingly, Amalric accepted these terms, but the assassin emissaries never returned from Jerusalem. The furious Templars murdered the emissaries on their way back. Other sources claim that Sinan never sent emissaries, and that he would never consider converting to Christianity. Regardless, the Templars' brutality meant that a formal treaty would never be signed between the Assassins and the Crusaders. And that is the end of the topic of assassin castles.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Joseph. The Nizri are just such a cool, like, group. They are just a wild, like, it's so hard to compare them to almost anything else, and even how to sum that up, because they are in what's now like eastern Syria and western Iran, but really form like a religious and social enclave in the upper mountains of the Middle East that really doesn't have a good comparison. They're so cool. And yeah,
One thing I do have to point out that is rather interesting is the aspect of converting to Christianity as a sign of peace. This has been common throughout Christian kingdoms, especially going back to the time of Vikings during the first. You guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, during the first invasion by the not Normans, by the Vikings, one of their prominent Viking warlords actually converted to Christianity as a sign of peace, as an aspect of maintaining his territory from the Christian kingdoms, primarily from Alfred of Wessex.
Yeah, that is Guthrum's thing that occurs at the very end of the the Discovery Tour for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, if you want to see more on that. But yeah, that's something, right, that Christian communities insist on. Every time that there's an oath, you swear oaths, you convert to Christianity, you take a new name, and that supposedly solves it, despite clearly the Christian polities not getting along with each other either. I'm not really sure what they're thinking. But they do think, try that all the time.
Just a game connection though, because if you remember from the last chapter, we had I think we had Guthrum, who is one of the who is well, I think Magistrisa said it very well. So if you remember, Guthrum was one of the Viking lords in that you would meet when as Eivor in England, certainly devout to the pagan faith, to the Viking faith. However, in the last chapter, you actually see him convert to Christianity as a way of making peace. So it definitely dates back to that era.
But yeah, turning back to the 12th century, a mere 350 years later, on the other side of the world, right, the Nizri in the Third Crusade, are super duper cool. There's one of the more famous assassinations in the game, right, is that of William of Montferrat. He actually is not historically assassinated, but his son, Conrad, is. In 1192. One of the things that's... Right, the assassin, under torture, accuses Richard the Lionheart of hiring him. Yep. Conrad of Montferrat was elected shortly before his assassination to be the next king of Jerusalem against the wishes of Richard. So I think it's actually quite plausible that he did in fact get got. And as another case, right, the assassins are not really operating in any sort of neat or convenient religious breakdown. They do their own thing. They're a different sect than the dominant Islamic sect in Syria or Egypt, and they happily will go fight whoever they want.
I'm since you mentioned it earlier, and I apologize if this is off topic because I was reading a little bit about the succession of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and I read that it was essentially a proxy war between Richard and King Philip of France, with Richard supporting I think it was Guy and Philip supporting Conrad. So
Yes,
if you could provide a little just a little bit of background on that for our folks.
100%. Right. This goes back to the question of whether the Crusader states are colonies, right? When we think about the kingdoms in Jerusalem, certainly England and France wants them to be colonies very similarly to the way that we imagine colonies in the present, in that they are completely dependent on England and France for their legitimacy. They are reliant on England and or France for significant of their material wealth, and they exist primarily to allow English and or French nobility to go safely on pilgrimage and show off how rich they are. In practice, that isn't how that works, but in the 1190s, just due to the immediate presence and very large armies that Philip and Richard both brought with them, the previous king of Jerusalem, right, Guy de Lusignan, who was captured by Saladin and released in 1189, allies himself with Richard, and Conrad of Montferrat, who protected or defended the city of Tyre against Salah ad-Din's armies, allies himself with Philip. And so they very much engage. I think calling it a proxy war is exactly the right framing in 1192. Simultaneous with the Third Crusade, there is a power struggle, and especially immediately after Richard bails and gets kidnapped, there is a power struggle in the Levant that is just really determining, is France the primary European beneficiary of the re-established Kingdom of Jerusalem, or is England? And it's annoying. By 1195, all of that goes out the window, and we're back to business as usual. As you know, the Fourth Crusade in 1202 completely misses. Sacks Constantinople was not the intention. Doesn't even make it to the Levant. The Sixth Crusade ends up in Egypt. And the Ninth Crusade also ends up in Egypt. So, the Third Crusade in some ways is kind of the last big push towards that.
Really rather interesting. I didn't even know that it would go out that far. It's kind of petty, but I think Magistri said it's awful, but it is hilarious. But yeah, Jeremiah says, I was going to touch on the colony comment. It is certainly true that they took a lot from the West and they did allow a lot for the West. But as you said, in practice, it isn't quite that simple. There is a great article by Christopher McEvitt addressing the messily complicated scholarship behind it. And he doesn't like the idea of calling it a colony either.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah is absolutely correct, as usual. Right, I think the colony framing is super useful, especially as, like, an aspirational colony. But, like, colonialism, as we understand it from the 16th century forward, doesn't exist yet. Like, the exploitation systems don't exist quite yet. They're still figuring it out, and the European countries aren't centralized enough to really enact power over that great a distance. And so they're like aspirational colonies. If France and England had their way, a colony would be a great framing. But due to the situation in medieval Europe, I think the reading of it as a colony only takes us so far, and at some point we have to imagine it in a different way, in a more complex way, in order to really understand what's going on in both directions.
You also have to understand that when you have wars in the Middle East, no matter what time period it's been, it's always an act of attrition. All they have to do, because the Middle East gets invaded by foreign powers from so far away, is they just have to survive. And eventually, no matter who the invaders are, they will give up.
Yeah.
This happened during the Crusades, where they could only maintain the land rights along the Mediterranean, where we have Acre, for example. But if you couldn't maintain water usages anywhere inland, then the people who obviously have been there for generations and thousands of years are going to kick you out of their land. That's not even a debatable topic.
Yep, and certainly, right. Well, I wouldn't exactly call Salah al-Din, local. He's rolling up from Egypt, which historically the Seljuk Empire viewed as its greatest enemy. Certainly, there is an element, right? There are elements of this that, thinking of this as like resistance movements in later periods, I think is also useful. I think you see that with the Nizaris, like really, really clearly when the Mongols roll up in the mid 1200s. Like the Nizari are super mad about it, and they fight well into like the 1270s after everyone around them has been conquered and incorporated into the Persian Khanate. Like the Nizari are still going for it. So it's complicated. Any framework we try and use for the Third Crusade, I think at some point just kind of falls over because it's messier than we want it to be. But the Nizari are a like super fascinating part of why it's so messy and really exemplify how difficult it is to make this period fit into any of our nice neat boxes. All right.
Yeah.
Let's.
That's a good point to stop in this conversation and go over to the next.
Great. I believe we need to throw over to closing our first raffle for the Assassin's Creed Valhalla Ultimate Edition. So I'm going to throw that over to Arsh to take care of that and let us know what the next raffle is going to be.
Yeah. I think so. So I did the raffle for the Ultimate Edition Valhalla, and I think out of random, AC-esque won the Ultimate Edition for Valhalla. So we will be emailing you. I think AC-esque, or you can email AC Community. You can email acommunityrelief@gmail.com saying that you won the Ultimate Edition for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I think a mod will be in touch with you right now so they can get the information from you. So yeah. There's also that option. If you have your whispers on, make sure to have your whisper settings on so a mod can be in touch with you.
Yep.
So yeah.
Congratulations to longtime Ludo History Community member AC Esquire for that.
Nice.
All right. So what's our next raffle going to be?
So the next raffle is going to be let me check. So we are going in order. Oh yes. It's going to be the best collection of Assassin's Creed, the Ezio collection. And this collection is gonna be a code for the Nintendo Switch. Now there is restrictions on this Ezio collection code. It will be a code that is only available in North America, South America, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I think there are some restrictions. We can't do anything about that. That's like the business world. But yeah, we were giving these codes, and we'd love if you guys can donate $5 for it and ask that you be admitted for the Ezio collection if you want it. If you have Nintendo Switch, great, you're gonna have the game. If you don't have Nintendo Switch, we can just give you the code and you can gift it to your cousin or your son, your daughter, your grandma, your grandpa. Anyway, uh, uh, I just wanted to put the info out there. But yeah, it is open right now. So donate $5, and we will call out the winner at the end of the fourth topic.
Yep, so you have now through the end of the entry on the Bob Tuma in order to be entered for that. You said it was a $5 minimum donation?
Yes.
Yes, and as a reminder, folks, in this prize segment, the donating can also enter you in to win the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. Just make sure on the Tiltify page when you donate, you specify that you also want to be entered into that raffle. Again, you can type !donate or scan the QR code on screen right now in order to participate in that donation like someone just did.
Yep. We don't want to give you the reward when you don't want the rewards. It will be awkward.
Exactly. So just make sure you specify which ones you want, and everything is going to go super smoothly.
Exactly.
Also, it looks like we're figuring out the tech difficulties on those Nightbot operated giveaways, so hopefully those should be coming in very soon. But during this next entry, I believe if you want to be entered to win that 1 month of Nitro, we can do this by hand. Just type all caps Nitro. If you want to be entered in this, we'll be able to collate that and then have a drawing for that after the next entry. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, just put Nitro, and I'll put you on the list, and have the computer generate a number that number wins. Yeah, so it can be all fair.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we are still getting the tech sites, the Nightbot technical difficulties sorted out, but we'll do it the old-fashioned way. We have the power.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. So, without further ado, then, let's jump back into our historical content. Looks like next up we're going to be talking more about the Citadel of Masyaf specifically. So, Joseph, take it away.
Okay, everyone, it's gonna be a little short topic, but we got some good info here. Masyaf, which served as the headquarters of the Ismaili D. Irashad al-Din Sinan and his elite unit of Badai, who were known as the Assassins. The Ismailis considered Saladin a more dangerous threat than the Crusaders, and allied with Saladin's rival in Aleppo to defeat the Ayyubids. Sinan's men launched 2 unsuccessful attacks to assassinate Saladin. In 1176, Saladin launched a punitive expedition against the Assassins in the strongly defended fortress of Masyaf. Within a few days of the siege, Saladin withdrew due to an urgent need to redeploy against the Crusaders, who were attacking Ayyubid territory in the Bekai. He arranged a truce with Sinan, mediated by the Ayyubid Emir of Hama, Shihab al-Din Mahmud al-Harimi, Saladin's uncle. In the mid-1170s, the Ayyubid Sultan Saladin set about conquering Syria, ousting the Crusaders, and uniting the Muslim world under a Sunni Islam. The Ismailis considered Saladin a more dangerous threat than the Crusaders, as I repeat myself, and allied with Saladin's rival in Aleppo to defeat him. Saladin's men Saladin launched a punitive expedition. Actually, this is all repeated for some reason. Masyaf, along with the rest of Syria, was incorporated into the Ottoman Empire in 1516, following the Ottoman victory over the Mamluks at the Battle of Marj Dabig. Masyaf became a part of the Liwa district of Homs, and along with other Ismaili fortresses in its vicinity, Kala al-Dawa was responsible for paying a special tax. This town had a khan, which paid tolls to the Ottoman authorities. In 1970, much of the town of Masyaf still remained within the confines of the city walls. However, by 1998, its population and urban space had expanded considerably outside the walls. The fortress is situated in the northeastern part of Masyaf's old city. The walls remain in place, but the homes and gardens of local residents were built immediately alongside them. Within the walls of a mosque dating to the 12th century, and according to local residents, is associated with Saladin. The fortress is considered a national monument and is directly under the authority of the Syrian Directorate of Antiquities. And that is what I have for Masyaf.
Thank you so much for that. I actually didn't know that Masyaf was still like an inhabited city, and that experienced recent and significant growth. That's super cool.
Yeah, I found it to be pretty interesting myself. But then again, a lot of landmarks tend to survive, especially around times like this, because we have to think it's one of the oldest simultaneously occupied cities in the world is Damascus. I believe some experts estimate it's had a population living there for about 12,000 years.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Levant in general has had ridiculous ones. The Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, just a little bit south, right from Jericho, which is in modern Israel, I believe, but in up near the border on the Jordan River, is there's someone from like 9,000 BC. Human remains had been excavated from that. So, right, we're thinking of incredibly deep human history, and I mean, like, well done highlighting the fact that that human history that we're and the history we're talking about continues into the present.
Yeah, exactly. It's Syria is one of these countries that has like a deep history. It's just with so much like European history and uh like being with so much hostility going on right now over there. It it tends to be like overshadowed, um but yeah, like it does have like a rich history, and I didn't even know Masyaf was a part of Syria until like I researched about Masyaf because I played Assassin's Creed uh 1. I think I myself lived in Syria for uh for 2 years of my life, which is partly why I decided to create this initiative and invite other communities to take part in it. And yeah, I didn't know Masyaf existed, but then when I came to America and I played AC1, I'm like, oh god, I could have gone to Masyaf there. Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah, back then I left Syria in 2008. In 2008, Syria was heaven to live in.
oh man.
Yeah, thing like it was amazing because my origins comes from Baghdad. We went to Syria to escape the war, and then we were living in peace, and then we came to America, uh, in 2008. But then in 2010, everything went down in Syria, and I'm like, oh man, yeah. Uh, but we're doing our part to help them now. So
Agreed.
hopefully, everything will be will be good, and they will be taken care of. Um,
I hope so as well.
One
yes.
more thing I wanted to mention about Masyaf is that when I was doing my research for the tour series, even back then, it was actually looked upon as kind of a safe haven because of its location. There was a story from Ibn Jubayr's book that talks about one of their castles in Mount Lebanon was attacked in the valley by the local population because he doesn't specifically say why, but he mentions that some of them were likely attacking merchants and other people passing through the valleys. and so the local populations actually murdered most of them. Like they took up arms and they went to that castle that was over there, and they killed a lot of them. And that was in 1183. And then the rest of them fled to Masyaf. They were assassins, and so like the assassins that were killed, they were basically piled up in the valley and burned. And then the assassins who survived actually escaped to Masyaf. So even back then, Masyaf was looked at as one of the safest locations for assassins to congregate in.
Yeah, I think the reason for that is that it's the westernmost of the main assassin Ismaili outposts, right? Alamut is a couple hundred miles east of Masyaf, so for the uh, I guess evangelizing is not the right word, but for the both religious and political goals of the Hashashain in Syria, Masyaf is kind of the westernmost spot that's solidly under the control. And I mean, the game I think actually represents its geography fairly well. Of that, it is way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, but let's uh continue on with the other topic, wouldn't you say?
Agreed. I think we have 1 month of Nitro to give out. There, I look like at least a couple of folks did do in for that uh hop in for that free giveaway. So I think we'll hand that out,
Be,
and
be,
then
before, sorry, before I hand it off, I just wanna take a moment to again thank you all for the donations. We had one from AC Esquire, another one from Assassin's Creed series, and Mr. Dorito, who's been a mainstay throughout this entire live stream schedule, and as well as Arachne of Sparta. I love that name, by the way. Thank you all for your donations. Oh, and we just had another $20 donation from Magistrisa. Thank you very much for your donation. Keep them going, guys. We are just so close to 18,500. Let's see if we can get it over there or higher to 19,000. And I will hand it over to the next topic.
all right, so I think up next, we're gonna do that free 1 month of Discord Nitro giveaway, and then we'll throw to a brief message from Save the Children before we get back into our historical content.
Okay, so the free one month Discord will be going to Jeremiah 475 thing. Uh Congratulations, Jeremiah 475. Cool.
Woo!
Uh
So, will the ACCR moderators be getting in touch to deal with the logistics of handing that out?
yes. Yes, we will. Again, just in case, email AC Community Relief at gmail.com, where we will hand you the 1 month Discord code. And yeah, I think a mod can also be in touch with you to get your information. So we'll just keep in touch with you in that way.
Fantastic. All right,
Mhm.
folks. Now that we are about an hour into today's stream, we do want to remind folks that we are currently raising money for charity. Specifically, we are benefiting Save the Children as they do work with earthquake relief in Turkiye and Syria following the devastating events there earlier this year. So we're going to throw to a quick message from them to showcase the sorts of work that they are doing, but do not go anywhere. We will be back in just a moment.
الساعة 5:30 بعدين صارت هزة أرضية نزلنا كلياتنا ما لنا لابسين. أهل الجامع قالوا لنا إن هون في هيك خيمة بدكم فيها. جينا لهون وبعدين طلعنا لبرا وهزت الأرض وهاي شعر البيت سقف المطبخ شعر وخفنا كتير وطلعنا من البيت. عم بيصير برد وهزة أرضية وعم نخاف كتير. لازمين لبس وتدفئة. وبعدين جينا قعدنا هون في الحديقة، نمنا يوم وجينا لهون، بعدين لقينا هون عم يسجلوا على هاي وفتنا لهون وسكننا. وهلق لازمنا حرامات وألبسة واسفنجات.
All right. Again, as you can see, the work that they are doing is super impactful to provide both for the material, mental, and social needs of the children that are not able to advocate for themselves in the care that they receive. So the donations you are giving here all go to an incredibly important cause, and the support is incredibly appreciated. All right. So, once again, folks, welcome. We are doing a discovery tour of Assassin's Creed 1 to benefit Save the Children. You can type !donate in the chat in order to receive a link to Tiltify where you can donate to help support that. There are also giveaways going on. Currently, you specify in the donation to be entered for a chance to win either the Ezio collection for Nintendo Switch to take all the classic Assassin's Creed games on the go with you, or for a Tobii Eye Tracker 5, a super cool piece of hardware that increases the immersivity of your gaming experiences. When you donate, just make sure which of those raffles you want to be entered for, or both of them. It's a $5 minimum donation to get entered into everything open right now. So, next up for our entries, we're going to throw it over to, it looks like me, to talk about the first landmark in Damascus, the Bab Tuma. So, the Bab Tuma is the main gate of Damascus that you enter through in Assassin's Creed 1. You can see it here, this incredibly large gate. Historically, the Bab Tuma, the Gate of Thomas, is actually a Roman period fortification. Goes back to the 1st century, and in Roman Judea and early Christian Judea is an incredibly important site within the city of Damascus. Supposedly, while it's named after St. Thomas the Apostle, when St. Paul, the writer of most of the New Testament, was on the road to Damascus, he probably would have been going to this gate, though it is one of 7 in the city. In the Middle Ages, in the time of the Third Crusade, the Bab Tuma is actually the centerpiece of the largest Christian neighborhood in Damascus. It is not a monolithic city. It's an incredibly diverse, vibrant city with Jewish, Christian, and Muslim people of various sects. But the largest Christian community is actually based right here around the Bab Tuma in the 13th and 14th centuries, especially immediately after the Third Crusade. This persists into the Ottoman period and honestly well into the modern period, though it is now a UNESCO World Heritage Landmark and is all a big historical park. Interestingly, the gate we are currently climbing is not the Bab Tuma. It is called that, but it is actually heavily inspired by the Damascus Gate in Jerusalem. The historical Bab Tuma is a little bit smaller, a little bit less grandiose, and so they seem to have gone for this massive gate in Jerusalem as their model for their entrance to Damascus.
It is a gigantic landmark to be shown. It's also shown in the concept art of Damascus that Assassin's Creed 1 has, that AC Community Relief used for basically our branding.
Yeah. You can see it on screen right now underneath that ACC Community Relief big logo.
Yeah, and thing. So so what I was gonna say is actually Bob Tuma. I mean Bob means door in Arabic. So thing it's saying like Tuma door. Basically
Tuma is a
Tuma
borrowing
door.
from Greek. Actually, it's the name Thomas.
Ah,
Yeah, so it is
interesting.
the gate of Saint Thomas the Apostle.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, Bob also also means like gate. So yeah, Gate of Thomas. There we go.
Yeah,
Look at us getting
good
getting
linguistics.
our getting our languages together to make a door's name.
So good at
A
this.
landmark's name.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that they made. Honestly, I like that they made the Damascus Gate. They just called it the Baptuma. It's not historically accurate or whatever, but for a city as like historically important as Damascus, having that pow moment of just the sheer awe of the Damascus Gate is just a great choice. Because Damascus is just such an important city in the period. Earlier in the Islamic era, so in the 7th, 8th, and very early 9th centuries, under the Umayyad Caliphate, Damascus was actually their capital. They moved it from being based in Mecca and Medina to all of the administration coming out of Damascus, because geographically, right, this city is kind of at the center of everything in this region.
Yeah.
I mean,
The thing
we'll see that more
when
in
you
just a little while, but yeah, it's like it is perfectly central and just an incredibly beautiful part of the world.
when you see it, it's like majestic. Yeah, like I'm really glad that we got the chance to cover it in this stream.
Yeah, and right, Arabic sources are just in love with this city. Actually, I'll be talking about it more later, but the Damascus is regarded as a holy city for multiple faiths. As I mentioned, right, supposedly the Apostle Paul, who does a lot of work in converting, the Roman Empire, received his revelation that converted him to Christianity while on the road to Damascus. It's a trade center, it's an administrative center, and it is a cultural center on so many levels, and so our Islamic sources are just in love with it, saying that right the gardens are the most beautiful in the world, and prayers in the mosques are more valuable in Damascus than anywhere else in the world, barring Mecca. So it is so much, right, this incredibly impactful city, and I mean, Assassin's Creed 1 really, even though they lean into the tans and the kind of desert aesthetics of the Levant, they really do something to communicate just how grand and important this city is.
They do. But I think now is a good time to I think conclude this topic and go into another topic maybe.
Agreed. I think we have some raffles to wrap up, and another raffle to open. So for
And but
another prize segment, why don't we take it away, Arsh?
before
Yeah.
Before?
before I give it to Arsh though, again, I just wanna note that we have reached 18,500 the yeah, $18,500 for Save the Children. Thanks in part to Magistrisa, an anonymous donation, and Chris and Ali with their $50 donation. Chris is actually well, this is kind of overblown, but I'll say I call him my, well, he is the head admin. I was about to call him my overlord, but he is the head admin for a community, for a small but growing community based, called Scholars of the Creed. I just recently joined as their video editor and their admin. Um, and he did an Assassin's Creed 1 marathon stream on Friday. He was really really awesome in that. You can say that there was a sort of prelude for this. So thank you very much to Creed Scholars for your donation. Thank you very much for holding that stream. It was really really awesome. And go check out Scholars of the Creed. We are on Twitter. We also have our own website, creedscholars.com, and we are also one of the communities participating in the stream. Stay tuned for more content from Scholars of the Creed. I think on Tuesday it's going to be a great one. And I'll hand it over to Arsh.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for the donations, everyone. And thank you to Scholars of the Creed for putting in a lot of work for this initiative. It takes a team's work, and we've had a lot of streams happening for AC Community Relief. Tomorrow there is a new stream on Access the Animus YouTube, and on Tuesday we'll be wrapping up things with like a whole Assassin's Creed community showdown on Let's Talk Assassin's Creed YouTube. So yeah, we have a lot of events planned up, and I think Ludo history being one of them is just so amazing because I I reached out to Ludo history, and he was very happy to have us do this segment with him. I've always wanted to do something with Ludo history, and this was a very great and important way to do it. So thanks, Ludo history.
Thank you so much. The kind words means a lot, and right, the work you all have done over the last 2 weeks really matters. I mean, $18,500 raised and counting is a crazy amount to get done. But before we get fully into the gushing and talking about all the incredible work that we do, I think we have a raffle to close, an Ezio Ultimate Edition to give away.
Yes. So I just ran the Ezio collection. I think raffle, and Magistrisa won the Ezio collection on Nintendo Switch. So congratulations, Magistrisa. And yeah, our mods will be getting in touch with you to get your information. And if you want to reach us out and have like a very clear communication, you can email us on accommunityrelief at gmail.com. Thank you, Magistrisa. I think, by the way, whoever wins can also opt in for the Toby. What is it called? Eye tracker. Yes. I blanked out for a second. For the Toby Eye Tracker 5, so you can have it's basically a VR system that literally just tracks your eyes. You don't even have to put it on. It tracks your eyes, and then you can just see the whole Assassin's Creed world. And the thing, well, not the whole one. You can see it on screen, but when you turn your eyes, you can see your surrounding, and it's just more interactive. And it is for accessibility's sake. So I think like not only is it cool, it also celebrates accessibility. And for Toby Gaming to be willing to give us this giveaway to give out at any donation is so nice of them. So please do not miss your chance. I have two names on the entry right now. Put your name on the entry. You might use it, and if you don't use it, you can just give it away to a close friend of yours, or your sister, your brother, your family, whoever. This is your chance to not pay $220 to get this thing, but to pay $5 and to get this thing. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Right. It's hard
yeah,
to overstate just how cool this piece of hardware actually is. Right. Whether you're looking to create a more immersive gaming experience for yourself, you're using that to help you out with accessibility, taking care of your hands, taking care of your other hardware. So using that to help control the camera, or you just want to experiment with what's possible with the realms of gaming, the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 is a phenomenal way to do that. And again, huge thanks to Tobii for helping set that up.
yes.
Additionally, we have other prizes that are going to start
Every
opening
giveaway.
up now for the next couple of Discovery Tour entries.
Yes, yes, and I think we're gonna open a free giveaway um for Dawn of Ragnarok. I think right now the Nightbot system is back to work, so I think White Wolf Whispers will do that. If you enter for example giveaway DLC, giveaway dash DLC, you can uh opt in for it. You know what? I'm gonna let what 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 wolf whispers handle that in the chat. Just follow their command. But we are also opening another prize giveaway, uh prize raffle giveaway, and it will be on uh let's see over here. It is we are opening the raffle giveaway for 1 year Discord Nitro. This is more than 1 month. It's 1 year. It's worth $120. Uh, you can get it for just $20. If you put $20 on the raffle, well, on the Tiltify donation website, and put in 1 year Nitro, then I'm gonna put you in to win this prize. So yeah, uh, thank you, thank you. Oh yeah, thing. I mean, we're giving out so so many things that our prince just ran way past me. So we are also doing art prints uh for for this for this fundraiser. We reached out to a lot of artists, and they drew up original arts for this fundraiser. For example, the number 3 double leaf is an original art for this fundraiser of Yusuf Tazim. Ramshackle Trickster number 17 is also original art. I think two two of the arts are original arts. So the way it's gonna work is you pay $15 and put you pay $15 and put art prints in the comment section of Tiltify, and then you can choose to select which art print that you want from this collection. We'll send you a PDF. You'll tell us which art print that you want, and it will be physically shipped to you. So we'd need your shipping address and everything, but we're doing that just to uh, pay attention and uh, be aware of like NFTs be like just to make sure that no NFT is made out of this and that the art is exclusively yours. So yeah.
Fantastic. I do want to specify one other super duper important thing with the art prints. These are not a raffle. These are first come, first serve. We only have 3 of them to give away, so starting right now, the first people to donate $15 on the Tiltify page and specify the art prints will be the ones to do it. Unfortunately, for reasons relating to the shipping of physical prints, we are only able to do 3. So if you want those, get those donations in right now. And so for $20, you could get entered into a raffle to receive 1 year of Discord Nitro, a Tobii Eye Tracker 5, and guarantee yourself one of these incredibly beautiful physical actually sent to you Assassin's Creed fan art prints. I think that's super cool. I think that's an incredibly huge value. That's like solidly $400 of value for a $20 donation right now. Again, you can type !donate or scan the QR code on screen right now in order to go to the Tiltify page in order to do those donations. So, without further ado though, I believe we have a lot more historical content to get through. So, why don't we throw it over to our next entry, which is going to be about the Barada, the river that runs just outside of Damascus. And so, Arsh, take it away.
That is mine. I am going to the research. Excuse-moi. There we go.
The floor is yours.
Yes. I am. There we go. Alrighty, awesome. So, the Barada, thing. Okay, so the Barada is the main river of Damascus. Barada is thought to be derived from the word barid, which means cold in Arabic. The ancient Greek name, Chrysoras. Am I?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. How do you
Would you prefer I say it?
Chrysoras.
Yeah, Cursor Oas. Yeah, it's kind of like a diphthong there.
It means streaming with gold. So the ancient Greek name, it's like derived from that I think. So yeah. The length of the Barada reaches 65 kilometers, with the area of the basin at 2,400 square kilometers. And this is the main river flowing through the Damascus basin. The river is fed by the Barada springs that are in the middle of Wadi Zibadani before the Al-Fig springs join it, whose average flow reaches like 7.71 cubic meters per second. The river also flows south in silt and sediment in a narrow channel whose width ranges between 5 to 10 meters, changing its stream through a deep and narrow wadi called Wadi Barada. I think Assassin M. Uh, how do you translate wadi into English?
Wadi is valley.
Valley, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Barada Valley, basically, wadi means valley in Arabic. Now, at the point where it crosses the Al Fig springs, the river receives a huge amount of water, making up 50% of its total volume, especially during flood season. Throughout history, humans have cut channels at different levels parallel to the main branch of the river to divert its flow. But the channels of Nabatain, Aramain, Aramean, uh, and especially Roman origin fan out as they reach the edge of Damascus, irrigating an area of about 145 square miles, which is 375 square kilometers in other metrics. This system, kept in repair over time, has created Al Guta, a fertile belt near the city of Damascus in what would otherwise have been an arid place. In high summer, families would come to Wadi Barada or Barada Valley on Fridays and on the holidays, often renting a riverside platform for the day. Rigged up as tent awnings open only onto the riverside, they formed an idyllic private arbor where families could relax, enjoying the coolness of the fast flowing river. Uh, little, little iron ladders were fixed onto the platforms so that children could climb down and swim also. Uh, I mean, that's cool. I think I'm just like imagining this in my head. It, it's so nice. Now in the 16th century, it was along the banks of the Barada uh, River on the outskirts of Damascus that the first coffee houses grew up. Pilgrims would assemble, waiting for the annual Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca to set off in one huge joint caravan, protected in numbers from raiding desert tribesmen. Many engravings from the 19th century show scenes of coffee houses on the banks of the brimming Barada. Um, it's cool to know that like coffee houses like like started here. We use them so much. But anyway, that's up to the discussion point. We'll discuss that later. Uh, Now
Mm-hmm.
near the village of Suk Wadi Barada, Suk means shop. So in this case, it's Barada Valley's shop. Huge gaping holes in the cliff above uh, can still be accessed. They are part of the original Roman water system. Elaborate tunnels cut into the rock, conducting the meltwaters into the aqueducts of Damascus. On sections of the old Roman road between B- Baalbek and Damascus, inscriptions in Greek and in Latin can still be seen, describing how the road was rebuilt higher up to avoid destruction by flooding. The Barada Awaj basin is considered to be one of the basins confronting the challenges of water resources and includes the highest percentage of population and density in comparison with other basins in Syria as well. Um, Today, the river is just a shadow of its former self, though, uh, diminished for most of the year by drought and pollution. Uh, that's sad to hear. It used to be such a lively place. Yeah,
All
but
right.
that concludes the Barada uh thing
Thank you.
research. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, coffee houses, Barada. What a what a what a what a cool way to start for coffee houses.
Yeah, well, coffee doesn't seem to become popular outside of Ethiopia and Yemen until like the 1400s. Uh, it's so cool that in Ottoman times, right, the Barada becomes like the centerpiece of what to us is now an institutional like global staple. It's so so cool. And I think what that research really highlights is the extent to which the Barada is the lifeblood of the region.
Yeah,
Like, everything comes back to just the extent of water that it creates. To throw back to the 12th century, in 1148, there's actually a siege along the banks of the Bara as part of the Second Crusade, and the fighting takes place through these massive orchards that are just west of Damascus, which really speaks to the extent of what is, geologically a pretty arid region. Uh, the extent to which this river enables everything else about the city.
One more thing actually is that apart from coffee shops that they had in these areas outside of Damascus, they also had a lot of shrines and holy places dedicated to what Muslims considered saints at the time. And because these areas were so beautiful, that's where they decided to erect these structures that were in memorial to these saints. So a lot of people would go there and offer prayers and consolation from these saints. So they were also popular pilgrimage sites for these saints.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be true for Christians and Muslims alike. I know that there are pilgrimage sites in Christian Damascus that also rely on the Barada, both for travel and as veneration sites.
Yeah. But with that, I think we can conclude this topic, don't you think, Little
I
History?
agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. I think it's time to move on, uh, which means I believe it is time for another free giveaway.
Yeah. Thing. Wolfie, can you show us the winner for the Valhalla DLC? Right, Pecan Fusion has won the giveaway for the Valhalla DLC. Is Pecan Fusion in here? Yes,
Yes,
yes, they are.
congratulations.
There we go. There we go. Congratulations, Pecan Fusion. Thing. Let me put you over here. All right, Pecan Fusion, you're gonna get a whisper from our mods and thing just to be extra sure. The thing you can keep in contact with us on acommunityrelief at gmail.com. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Uh,
All
cool,
right.
cool.
Remember, folks, we are also still raising money for Save the Children, and to help you along, we are currently have a couple of raffles open. So do head over to the Tiltify page in order to donate. Type exclamation donate in chat, or head over by scanning the QR code on screen right now. For a $20 minimum donation, you will be entered into a chance to win 1 full year of Discord Nitro. That lets you use emotes from any server anywhere else on the platform, plus a bunch of other fun perks. It's a $120 value for just a $20 donation. Additionally, any dollar donation throughout the stream is going to enter you into a Tobii Eye Tracker 5. So do make sure you get those donations in for those amazing prizes. But I think, on that note, it is time for us to get into another historical topic. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's.
So, let's take it away, Zark, for an entry on the Citadel of Saladin.
Sure thing. So right now, I am going to talk about the Citadel of Saladin. It is actually called the Citadel. It is also known, or probably actually called the Citadel of Damascus, and apologies for the pronunciation over here, the Kalat Damask. And the Citadel of Damascus is a large medieval fortified palace and citadel in Damascus. The location of the current citadel was first fortified in 1076 CE by the Turkmen warlord Astis bin Uvak. Although it is possible but not proven that that a previous citadel stood in its place in the Hellenistic and Roman periods. In 1071, the Fatimids called on Seljuk leader Astis bin Uvak to help them suppress revolts in Palestine. Astis used this opportunity to seize Damascus and make the city his seat. He expanded the citadel, which was a royal seat and military base during the Seljuk period. Then it was surrounded with high walls and towers. Fast forward to 1154, when Nur ad-Din az-Zangi invaded Damascus and made it the capital of the Islamic Empire. He inhabited the citadel and strengthened its fortifications. Saladin's brother Al-Adil rebuilt the citadel completely between 1203 and 1216 in response to the development of the counterweight trebuchet, which is basically an advanced catapult. But that's oversimplifying everything. Anyway, the citadel remained in Abbasid hands until the Mongols, under the general Kitpu Kha, captured Damascus in 1260, thereby ending Abbasid rule in Syria. After the defeat of the Mongols in 1260 by the Mamluks, Damascus came under the rule of the Mamluk Empire. Except for brief periods in 1300 and 1401 CE when the Mongols conquered Damascus, the Mamluks controlled the citadel until 1576. In that year, no, not my bad. They controlled the citadel until 1516. In that year, 1516, Syria fell into the hands of the Ottoman Empire. Damascus surrendered without a fight, and from the 17th century onward, the citadel functioned as a barracks for the Janissaries, which we covered in the previous stream. In 1925, French soldiers bombed the old town from the citadel in response to the Great Revolution in Syria against French mandate. Since 1984, this citadel was subject to restoration work and archaeological excavations and was open to visitors and researchers from all over the world as an archaeological site and cultural center. Today, the citadel has 12 towers equipped with battlements and embrasures. It is also It also has important architectural features, such as the so-called Abiyid Hall and other buildings on the southwest side. These buildings have been spread over a rectangular area, completely surrounded by a defensive moat filled with water from the Barada River. Originally, the citadel had three main gates. The first, called the Iron Gate, was on the north side, and the second was on the east side, connecting the citadel to the Asgruniya market. The third, in the west, was unknown for a long time until it was discovered by a Syrian-French archaeological mission in 2005. The citadel has also had secondary gates and equipped with mobile bridges. Now, just as some context, and this can be further discussed further explored in our discussion. Who is Saladin? Well, in the context of Assassin's Creed, in the novel The Secret Crusade, Al-Mualim actually had made several attempts on Saladin's life, one of which was depicted in this novel. And the first novel this first attempt was made during the Saladin siege of Aleppo, where the Hashashin smuggled themselves into Saladin's camp but were recognized by Nash al-Din Kumartarkin, an Amir of the Abu Kubais, and he was killed by them. In the confusion, many of the soldiers were killed, but Saladin survived. During the siege of Assas, the Hashashin, disguised as soldiers, inserted themselves into Saladin's army. They attacked him, but he only sustained minor injuries. The Hashashin were killed, and from then, Saladin took many precautions to protect himself. Interestingly, some sources say that Saladin traveled in a large wooden box and slept on a high tower and refused to let anyone who he didn't know personally approach him. Tired of multiple attempts on his life, Saladin laid siege to Masyaf Castle in 1174. However, there are many conflicting reports on the events of this siege. Generally accepted by historians is that, taking the advice of his uncle, Shibab ad-Din Mahmud ibn Takash, governor of Hama and neighbor to the Hashashin, Saladin made a truce with Al-Mualim and withdrew his forces. Other stories are more exciting. Some say that the Hashashin infiltrated Saladin's camp at night and left freshly baked hotcakes as a warning to him. It was this version of the story that is depicted in the Secret Crusade, with main differences being that the assassin was Altair's father, Umar ibn La'ahad, and the hotcakes were replaced with a single feather, which is iconic to the series. After the siege, Saladin never came into direct conflict with the Hashashin again, and actions of the sect did affect Saladin's campaign against the Crusaders. And that is all that I have on Saladin and his citadel in Damascus.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. The thing that amuses me, though, is that there doesn't actually seem to be a very long or particularly substantial inhabitants by Salah ad-Din in the citadel that certainly the game and later folklore attributes to him, right? Our actual evidence for it is that when he happens to be in town, he lives here, but it's his brother that makes the
Yeah.
actual improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of found that interesting too. And it's so much more interesting. Again, just going back to the fact that he is not depicted in much in the game at all. Yet we see his citadel, and even just when I was recording the footage for this, I knew there was an image, like I knew where the citadel was, but I just didn't know. Like I knew what it looked like, but I didn't know where it was exactly. And yet, like, we have the citadel, we have his depiction in the novel, and yet he's still not over there. It's still just a missed opportunity, though. But because there's such a long and rich history regarding this person, so
Yeah, it is. I mean, Salahuddin is just such another one of those super complex figures because our main source for him is the Chronicle of Ibn al-Athir, who personally knew him. Ibn Jubayr also does, but also personally knows him. And so there's this portrayal of Salah ad-Din as being simultaneously incredibly vicious when he feels like it, and also incredibly magnanimous, even more so than Nur al-Din, his predecessor in the region. Like, he does all the things that the chroniclers seem to think a good Muslim ruler is supposed to do, and so very much engage in this sort of glorification project. And it's not a surprise, therefore, to me that he immediately gets attached to a bunch of things in the landscapes of the Levant, because, yeah, is he is regarded as the best of his generation as a general and as a ruler among the Islamic space.
yeah. When you mentioned his primary source, I kind of want to read that now, because just reading this was very, very interesting.
It's
So
it's
I
12 volumes long. Don't get too excited there.
because I wonder if the writing, because the only like contemporary source that I know of, but like contemporary biographer that I know of, was Giorgio Vasari, and I was wondering if the writing is similar to if the writing about Saladin is similar to Vasari's.
We'll probably talk more about Islamic literature in just a little bit, but let me phrase it as my experience with Ibn Khaldun, Ibn Battuta, and Ibn al-Athir makes me think that they all make Vasari look like he had a good editor. He didn't. Quite the opposite. Vasari that uses way too many words, but the Islamic
Yeah.
style is just even more elaborated and erudite, and like talks uses 15 descriptors where 2 may have worked. So I still highly recommend experiment trying to get into reading those, because Ibn al-Athir is a fascinating source for Crusades history, and really our most important primary source to try and get away from the Crusades as Europeans saw them. But still, he has a lot of love for Salah ad-Din, and he makes sure that you know it.
Wow.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I believe let's let's go to the other topic.
Yeah. First, though, I believe we do have some more prizes. In that we should be coming up on the end of our next raffle.
Yeah, but before you do, we are $1 away from 18,600. And I thank you to the recent donations. I'm seeing Velas95, Alessio, Mr. Dorito, who's in the chat, and Six Keys, Basim Extraordinaire, who is in the chat. Thank you all for your donations. Even though we are $1 away from 18,600, let's see if we can go higher to 19,000. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Keep them coming, boys and girls, and whoever you are. All assassins, Templars, Isu, keep them coming. And I'll hand it over to Arsh and Adam.
Yup. Um. So right now, we are supposed to give out the raffle of the 1 year Discord, and I ran the numbers, and I did the random generator of, of the number, and it turned out to be Monsieur Dorito. That won the 1 year Discord. So congratulations, Monsieur Dorito. Uh, thing you won the 1 year Discord.
Congratulations to Monsieur Dorito for that. We will be in touch or send an email to acommunityrelief@gmail.com in order to get all the details to be able to claim that prize. All right. What's
Yep.
coming up next?
What is going up next is the complete edition for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So not only will you get the uh, the DLCs, which include Wrath of the Druids, and Siege of Paris, and other downloadable content, you will also get Dawn of Ragnarok with this complete edition, and you can get this for a raffle prize of $12, starting at $12, and you enter into the raffle, and we'll call it out um, during. We'll call out the raffle at the end of topic 8.
Yep.
Right now, yeah, right now we're going to topic 7, but yeah, you have time until topic 8 to thing enter into the raffle by donating to Tiltify and writing in the comments that you want a game code for Assassin's Creed Valhalla Complete Edition. So yeah.
All right. Fantastic. So again, folks, all donations also have the, if you specify it, will enter you into a Tobii Eye Tracker 5. And all donations go to an incredible cause to help benefit Save the Children as they do earthquake relief work in Turkiye and Syria. So, as those raffles will be open for the next two donation or the next two historical segments. But without further ado, I think it's time to move on to our next one. So, next up is going to be the Madrasa al Khalasa, and discussion of Islamic education in 12th century Damascus. Assassin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm actually going to dive into the general institutions, one of them being the Madrasa al Khalasa. So I'm going to talk about medical institutions, social institutions, and the educational. And I'm going to start with Madrasa al Khalasa. The word madrasa is Arabic for school or any type of educational institution, which would be secular or religious, and it was also applied to higher education or elementary education. The only madrasa that features prominently in Assassin's Creed 1 is the Madrasa al Khalasa, and generally we don't know if that exists or not, and this will be speculation on my part, but from the chronicles of Ibn Jubayr, when he went to Damascus, he mentions a neighborhood that was between one of the biggest mosques over there and the exit of the the biggest market in Damascus, and that neighborhood was called Al Kalasa. And Al Kalasa means the lime kiln. He doesn't specify why it was called that, but I'm assuming it was because there might have been, because usually Arabs named neighborhoods and streets based on whatever they were sensing, whatever you could see, whatever you could smell. So likely there may have been a lot of lime trees in that area, so that's why it was called that. So it's not really far-fetched to think that maybe there was a school called Al Kalasa. Um, so yeah, that school is located in the middle district of Damascus, where the story arc of Jubair al-Hakim takes place. The building itself, the architecture is built in the later Mamluk style rather than the Ayyubid style of the time. The Mamluk style is more in the, it features prominently more in the mid 1250s. You can also see a lot of it in Egypt. Um, so yeah, this school may have existed. We don't know whether or not it actually existed. Assassin's Creed 1, of course, didn't have a database, but we can speculate that it might have existed at the time. Um, when it comes to the education itself, the instruction of boys in the Quran consisted only of making them committed to memory. Writing they learned through the medium of poetry and other sciences. So Islamic education at the time uh, basically consisted of writing and memorizing the Quran. So the schools in Damascus, Ibn Jubayr relates, they were unique in that regard, where the memorization of the Quran and the discipline of writing were separate from each other. In this way, the Quran teacher and writing master are separate persons, which produces a good hand for the instructor in that subject is occupied with none other, which being the either memorizing the Quran or teaching writing. And while the students put the teachers put efforts into teaching these subjects to the pupils themselves did the same in learning them. So separating these two was seen as a beneficial thing by Ibn Jubayr. Um, Moving on to other institutions, for every mosque, school, hospital, or convent, the Sultan would assign to them an endowment that will support it and those that dwell therein, as well as the officials. Amongst the princesses who possesses the means, some ordered the buildings of an asylum for the poor and needy, an orphanage, or a school, spending on them large sums and assigning them endowments from their own properties. Any needy stranger was to be cared for. Other strangers who have a trade or a craft are also found diverse means of livelihood. Should one of those beneficiaries wish to have an audience of the Sultan, he will receive them and treat them liberally, granting them a salary paid according to their ability and office. So, really, the social standings of even people who were needy were taken into account. So, people who had specific crafts or specific trades, they would be met by the Sultan, and the Sultan would offer them salaries according to their standing. Moving on, there was about 20 colleges in the city at the time, and 3 hospitals, 2 old and one that was new. New speaking from the perspective of 1183, which is when Ibn Jubayr was in Damascus at the time. Uh, Ibn Jubayr relates that the new one is finer and bigger and receives a daily allowance from the Sultan of about 15 dinars. And that was the median allowance for hospitals at the time. He goes on to say that its staff maintained a register that recorded the names of the sick and the items that they require of medicine, food, and other things. Early each morning, the physicians come to the hospital to visit the sick and order preparations of the proper medicines and food as suits each person. The other hospitals are managed the same way, but more people use the new. There is also a system for the treatment of confined lunatics, which at the time was like the modern the predecessor of modern mental asylums. Um, but yeah, another feature of these hospitals is that they were completely free to anybody of any social class who required their services. But people who were of higher class usually hired private physicians who came to their homes. And yeah, that wraps up this section.
Yeah, the madrasas are um are cool. I can't I can't wait to see the madrasas in Assassin's Creed Mirage. How they're handled, because madrasas and like uh madrasas and the House of Wisdom kind of went two and two together.
Yeah, I'll be so excited to see what they do with in Mirage with looking at Baghdad instead of Damascus. And I mean, in the height of the opposite period, getting to explore it. That being said, right, a lot of what we imagine in the mod or of the medieval Islamic institution of the madrasa doesn't actually exist in the setting of Mirage as we look forward. Like, the first upper level universities are actually founded in Morocco around 900, so like a generation after the Mirage, and then the idea very rapidly spreads throughout the Islamic world by the early 11th and especially early 12th centuries. So, right, certainly they're super interconnected, but I think the specific stuff we see in Assassin's Creed 1 is a little bit later period than what we're going to see in Mirage, and I'm really excited to see how much they engage with that.
Definitely, me too. And yeah, I think
I mean, I could go on about madrasas and Islamic education all day. I will be honest, they're so cool. Right, Islamic literature and poetic traditions in the 12th century and onward is just so vibrant and so cool because a lot of what, right, our understanding of, I don't know, the Renaissance and the kind of preservation of Greek texts into Italy, into Spain, into England in the 12th century onward comes due to Islamic madrasas. In addition to learning writing through poetry and the copying of calligraphic texts, it's the copying and commentary and debate of Greek medical texts, philosophical texts, astronomical texts. So all of that is fundamentally a part of the Islamic world in this period, and the madrasas are just instrumental in the preservation of a lot of knowledge we imagine as classical.
I just have a question though, regarding like is madrasa just a general word? Like how would you distinguish between like the levels of education given by a madrasa?
It depends on the school, right? What is the one in Morocco in Fez is I think it's Al Qarawiyyin. Is I think how you say the name of the big university in Fez, and that's like what closer to what we think of as a university, training in specific field commentary rather than a general education. Madrasa though just means place of learning, so like it schools of all levels get classified as madrasas, and students of all skill levels would often be at the same institutions in this period.
Uh,
yep.
I see. Yeah. I would never have thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think as a kid, like who grew up in like Iraq and Syria, we always called thing like school madrasa, or another word for it would be thanawiya. Assassin, correct me. Thanawiya is college, right? Or no?
Yes, Thanawi, you're correct, is college in Iraq and Syria. In Egypt, Thanawiya is high school, and we had a different name for university, which was Jami'a, which
Oh,
means the
oh yeah, yeah,
gathering.
yeah. Oh yeah. Wait, Thanawiya is also a high school for Iraq, and then Jamia is is university, but I don't know if those words existed back in the day. But yeah, just general knowledge of like Arabic
Yeah.
for you
Yeah, no, back
viewers.
then, these words didn't exist. It's like Adam said, every institution was called a madrasa,
Uh,
whether it
Yeah,
was
exactly.
elementary education or higher educational institute. Universities didn't really like the word that predated university didn't really appear until like a little bit later. So they were all called madrasas.
Yeah, right. I think the one exception is in Morocco, right? I think it is the Karawiya. So the Moroccan dialect variant of Thanawiya uh, is specified as early as like 900, so the early 10th century, as like a separately named place. But that seems to be unusual, and the little bit of Moroccan work I've done also calls it a madrasa. So really, it's just any school could plausibly land in that.
Right. Yeah. And no, your example of the Qarawiyya in Morocco is definitely on
It's
spot.
it's such a
That's
cool place. I've
usually
gotten to physically go there, and it is exactly as cool as all the texts make it out to be.
right. Yeah. And funny, the another interesting part is that some sources say that it was actually built by a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Now I have to go and research about that.
If this stream
um,
does anything,
Yeah.
it gives people more things to look into.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I just looked up if there were any madrasas in my native homeland, because my native homeland is 25% Muslim, but they're mostly in the south. So, but yeah, really interesting find so far. But anyway, back to this. Do we have any other announcements, or can we move on to the next topic?
I believe we do have an announcement. In addition to there currently being a raffle ongoing for a copy of the Valhalla Complete Edition, that's a $12 minimum donation over on Tiltify, either by typing !donate or by scanning the QR code in chat or on screen right now. I do want to remind folks that we are currently raising money to benefit Save the Children for earthquake relief. While we have a lot of good historical content here, this is all for a good cause, of that we are raising money to help them with all of the relief work they're doing to benefit children affected by the 2023 earthquake. So we're going to throw over to a quick message from them highlighting the sorts of work they are doing, and then we will be back with our next topic.
يعني وحال يعني نفسيته هو أكتر شيء تعبانة، هو اللي صاب. كويس الدعم النفسي، كويس دعم النفسي للأطفال.
All right, thank you all for joining us for this Assassin's Creed 1 Discovery Tour. Once again, I am Ludo History. We are part of the Assassin's Creed Community Relief Project today, raising money to help children affected by the earthquakes in Turkiye and Syria. We are also going through a whole bunch of extremely cool historical landmark discussion around Assassin's Creed 1. And I believe we are ready for our next topic, which is going to be about marketplaces, also known as souks, in the medieval Damascus. So, Zark, the floor is yours for that.
Sure thing. So, if you remember from Assassin's Creed 1, the primary, the one of the main souks that you go to for one of your targets is the Souk El Salah. However, there are not many sources to find a definite Souk El Salah, because Souk El Salah literally means the marketplace of weapons. So it's most likely fictional, created for the game. However, I'll go briefly into what actual souks are. Now, the souk is a beating heart of many Asian cities from the Near East to North Africa. The souk is an Arabic term translating as a marketplace, and is the cradle for traditional urban culture in Arab as Islamic societies. The traditional souk was not just a market, but an economical institution, a communication network, and a way of life. Its open, multifunctional character makes it welcoming to people from all walks of life who exchange news, information, and opinions about affairs of the time. Before the 10th century, souks were mostly identified as caravanserais and were dotted on the outskirts of the city. Caravanserais were roadside inns that catered to the throve of merchants, traders, pilgrims, and travelers that journeyed across the network of trade routes. With the expansion of the Muslim Empire, a more settled, sedentary lifestyle succeeded the nomadic culture of the Arabs. In turn, commerce became a necessity, and the souk moved inwards into the city and solidified its place as the backbone of that extended into traditional urban life. As these markets grew to thrive, artisans and craftsmen collected themselves in and around souks to benefit from the active stream of visitors. Souks grew to hold entire towns encompassing mosques, schools, public baths, factories, offices, and retail facilities. Some examples of big or famous souks nowadays include the Souk Al Hamidiyah. Um, uh, for- um, Apologies again. The Souk Al Hamidiyah is the largest and central souk in Syria, located inside the walled city of Damascus, next to the citadel. This souk is around 600 meters or 2,000 feet long and 15 meters or 49 feet wide. It is covered by a 10-meter or 33-foot tall metal arch. The souk starts at the at Tharwa Street, and ends at the Umayyad Mosque Plaza. The ancient Roman temple of Jupiter stands 40 feet tall from this entrance. Now that I think about it, there is another souk that is in Assassin's Creed, but it's kind of small, but it never really figures into any of the memories. It may be that I just mentioned. But anyway, the next up is the Souk al Buzuriya, which is a historical souk located to the south of the Umayyad Mosque, inside the old walled city of Damascus. This souk is famous for its spice vendors and the many historical khans located along it, including Kal Asad Pasha. On its southern end, it meets Meddat Pasha Souk. Perfumes and spices are sold on this market, as well as various types of sweets, products, dried fruit, and soap, including olive oil soap and the famous Syrian laurel soap. And a third example would be the souk Midat Pasha, as I just mentioned, which is also known as the souk al Tawil. In English, it translates as the long market. The souk Midat Pasha is a historically important souk, which forms the western fraction of the street called Strait in Damascus, Syria. The Souk Midat Pasha is the oldest inhabited street in the world, and as it was built in 64 BC during the Roman Empire as a street of pillars. In 1878, during Ottoman rule over Syria, it was renamed after Midat Pasha. And a little discussion about the trade and diversity that formed the background of these souks. In 12th century Damascus, in between the sieges, we could expect to see Turks, Persians, Egyptians, Moroccans, Armenians, Greeks, Frankish pilgrims, and potentially Norman traders from Sicily, and many other people from many other locations across the world. Souks, therefore, would be considered a multilingual cacophony full of goods from around the world, just like they are today. And that's all that we have for the discussion, for the encyclopedia entry and the discussion points, but um, uh,
But I think
but
there's a lot more that can be said about just
yeah,
how important the souk and the souk culture actually is
yeah.
in the medieval Islamic world, and indeed in the modern Islamic world. Right, the game Assassin's Creed 1 is just woefully unequipped to handle just how let's call it vibrant. I was tempted to say chaotic, but vibrant Islamic souk is able to be, because they are messy. They are chock full of people all the time, and it's great.
I was gonna say I kind of find it similar to the Grand Bazaar over in Istanbul, and from my home country we have a term for these kinds of markets called which we call the palenque. And I said, and I'm instead of like you were trying to find the right term earlier, it's very much bustling with all kinds of goods, not only local goods, well, mostly local goods, but from all over the world. And because when I was growing up, when I was going to these palenques, it was indeed like bustling, to put it mildly. But it was just nice to see just not only the food, but also like clothing goods. From local artisans, and just the amount of like local art I've consumed, like from the jewelry, from the clothing, from anything like this. It's really beautiful.
It
Just
Yeah, it
God.
really, really is. And right in Syria, in particular, right, there's going to be rug merchants bringing in
Oh
materials
yes.
as far away as Morocco or India on two opposite directions. Spice merchants working within the trade routes through the Indian Ocean trade routes and Baghdad, bringing things in from India, Southeast Asia, and China. Silks coming in from China. You'll have live animals from as far south as like Great
Oh
Zimbabwe
yeah.
in East Africa. A little bit later on in the Ottoman period, you're going to have coffee. And then additionally, right, once the American and Colombian exchange begins, right, you get a truly global goods all coming into souks in the Middle East and North Africa. And so these are right. This is where a lot of politics happen. The Egyptian souks are where Mansa Musa briefly, but notably, hurt the local economy by spending too much gold in the 14th century. And it's where a lot of the most beautiful craftsworks made in the world at this time were being bought and sold.
Yeah, because I remember when I had to do research, some background research for this, because I just for the amount of trade network, I was just looking at like sort of historical fashion at the time, and where the silks came from. I think, but this was like Seljuk Empire, like where the silks would what the silk where the silk would come from, and I think and those trade was kind of figured into that, and I was kind of wondering if the souks kind of played into that as well. But going back to your point earlier, because I took a stop at Morocco at one time, and I had seen, now that you mentioned it, I had seen these rug vendors, and those are some of the most beautiful rugs that I've ever seen in the world. But this was back in 2008. I don't know if anything has changed since then. One more thing, though. Magistris asked a question about regulations in marketplaces. Do we have any historical info, since I wasn't able to find that, on any sort of marketplace regulation for these souks?
My Arabic is nowhere near good enough to get into Islamic law, so I'll hand this off to someone else. I know that they exist, but I am not able to read them.
So I would think. So I think So I'm probably gonna. So we're probably gonna hand it off to either Assassin M or Arshak, if there are any, if you know of any regulations regarding souks, either from this time period or in the modern day.
If I talk about the modern day, it's gonna be completely different from how it was back then. because most modern day Middle Eastern markets follow Western standards when it comes to regulation. But uh, back then, I'm very sure that I read some of the stuff on it, but I didn't go too deep into it for the video series. Um, Usually, most of the time, they had to pay at like a tax, and it usually depended on the types of goods that they were bringing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no known like discrimination between people when it comes to nationality or religion. All merchants who wanted to have a spot in any specific market and they wanted to come and sell their goods, they had to pay the same tax basically to the sultan. Um, Smaller provinces, the taxes that they paid went straight to the governor. They didn't have sales taxes at the time, and of course there was no interest because Islamic law prohibits any form of interest. So yeah,
Yeah.
in modern times, it's very very different from how it was back then.
But yeah, we're going to see those taxes crop up right at the very end of the stream again. If economic history about law taxes in marketplaces is the historical content that gets you excited to wake up in the morning, we'll have a little bit more on that coming in just a little while. Still, though, I think for the sake of time, we will need to move on. And that means I believe it is time to do another raffle giveaway.
Yeah. Yes. I am. I am not muted. I am talking. Uh. Yeah. Okay. So the raffle giveaway for Assassin's Creed Complete Edition uh has not. I haven't seen any donations for it, so um I I don't think it
All
it
right.
qualified as a raffle giveaway. So
Well,
uh
then let's extend that for one more entry. So, if you want that to be entered for a chance to win that Assassin's Creed Valhalla Complete Edition and or the Toby Eye Tracker, we're going to be giving both of those away after the next entry. So get those donations in now. Because we are almost out of time. We're coming close to the end of stream, so if you want to help support a phenomenal charitable cause and win some cool games and some cool gaming hardware, get those donations in now, and on the Tiltify page, specify that you want to be entered into those raffles so we know to include you. Alright,
yep.
then, for our final in-game landmark that we're going to be talking about today, why don't we actually I need to write one more thing. But we're going to be talking about the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, and Joseph is going to be taking that one away. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, everyone, listen to my last topic for the day, the Umayyad Mosque. The Great Mosque of Damascus, called the Umayyad Mosque, the earliest surviving stone mosque, built sometime between 705 and 715 CE by the Umayyad Caliph Al-Walid I, who proclaimed to his citizens, people of Damascus, four things give you a marked superiority over the rest of the world: your climate, your water, your fruits, and your baths. To these I add a fifth, this mosque. Adjacent to the mosque is the tomb of one of the most illustrious Muslim leaders, Saladin, who recaptured Jerusalem from the Crusaders. There have been religious buildings on the site for thousands of years, and the earliest known relics come from an Aramaean temple dating to about 3000 BCE. First century Hellenic temple to Jupiter was built during the Roman era, and later a church of St. John the Baptist was erected on its foundation. Some Syrio-Roman fragments remain in this structure. So does a shrine supposedly enclosing a relic honored by Muslims, as well as some Christians, as the head of St. John the Baptist. The mosque occupies a huge quadrangle 515 by 330 foot or 157 by 100 meters and contains a large open courtyard surrounded by an arcade of arches supported by slender columns. The Liwan, or Hall of worship, yes, running the length of the south side of the mosque, is divided into three long aisles by rows of columns and arches. A transept with a central octagonal dome, originally wooden, cuts across the aisles at their midpoint. The marble grills that cover the windows in the south wall are the easiest example of geometric interlace in Islamic architecture. The walls of the mosque were once covered with more than an acre of mosaics depicting a fanciful landscape thought to be the Quranic paradise, but only fragments survive. The mosque was destroyed by Timur in 1401, rebuilt by the Arabs, and damaged by fire in 1893. Although it could not be restored to its original splendor, the mosque is still an impressive architectural monument. The Muslim tradition holds that the mosque will be the place Jesus will return before the end of days. Two shrines inside the premises commemorate the Islamic prophet Muhammad's grandson, Husayn ibn Ali, whose martyrdom is frequently compared to that of John the Baptist and Jesus. Under the Abbasid rule, new structures were added, including the Dome of the Treasury and Minaret of the Bride, while the Mamluks undertook major restoration efforts and added the Minaret of Tatbeh. The Umayyad Mosque innovated and influenced nascent Islamic architecture with other major mosque complexities, including the Great Mosque of Cordoba in Spain and the Al-Azhar Mosque of Egypt, based on its model. Although the original structure had been altered several times due to fire, war damage, and repairs, it is one of the few mosques to maintain the same form and architectural features of its 8th century construction, as well as its Umayyad character. And that's all I have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I mean, the mosque is magnificent by any metric. I've not actually been to the one in Damask, but I have been to the one in Cordova that is based on it, and like they are a marvel of like architectural engineering.
Yeah. They're really cool. Thing. Um, I haven't been there too. I haven't been there too, but I wish I had. I have been to Damascus, which is Damascus in Arabic. Um, but yeah, I was a kid. I didn't know what a mosque was.
That's
Uh,
fair.
yeah. Um,
Another interesting thing is that the architectural style is actually one of the earliest structures incorporated into Islamic architecture that uses a lot of the early Byzantine style, because the architects and artisans and craftsmen who designed and built the structure itself were actually from the Byzantine Empire, because it was the caliph at the time who sent to the Byzantine Emperor Justinian. I don't remember, was it the second or the first? He sent to him and he told him that to send 40,000 architects and craftsmen, and they're the ones who built the initial structure.
Incredible. And I love, right, our entry got a highlight that it incorporates features of even older structures into it, and like really getting to highlight once again just that deep historical continuity we're seeing through the kind of Syrian past and into the Syrian present. So just all around a phenomenal entry. All right. And on
Yeah.
that note, I believe it is time to do our last giveaways for this stream.
So let's see over here. Thing. Uh, Let me see who has donated. Don donations. Donations have not been edited, but which is okay. Um, the thing. Well, I think we should just go into the raffle giveaway for the Toby reactor, not reactor. Sorry. Uh, eye tracker
All right.
5.
Yeah, let's do
Uh,
it.
yeah. And the winner for that is is gonna be Monsieur Dorito again. Uh, thing. They opted for Toby too, and yeah, we'll be reaching out to Monsieur Dorito for the win. So congratulations, Monsieur Dorito.
Fantastic. I think they unfortunately had to take off, but we'll be in touch with them after the stream. A huge thank you to everyone who donated, for whether you wanted to be entered into that raffle or not. It all goes to a phenomenal cause, and the support is incredibly appreciated. And with that, we are not quite done. We are almost done with the stream, but we are not quite done because I do have some concluding remarks and ideas regarding specifically, right, I've been harping on the historical continuity between past and present. And so I want to close us off with some thoughts on 12th century earthquakes in Syria and the Levant, and really why what we are doing here and what the Assassin's Creed Community Relief Project has done over the last 2 weeks matters. So,
yeah, go ahead.
Throwing it over to myself. In the 12th century, there are two major earthquakes, both predating the Third Crusade, but in 1157 and in 1170, massive earthquakes hit along the same fault line that struck earlier this year. However, the damage that they caused is actually widely variable. The 1157 earthquake hits primarily Islamic countries or polities in the region. So Damascus gets hit. Jerusalem feels it, but is not badly damaged. But Marash in what's now Turkey, Aleppo, and the surrounding areas get absolutely devastated. The response by the King of Jerusalem, Baldwin III, and the Duke of Antioch is to raise an army and immediately attack Nur al-Din, because one of the main things our sources describe is that the walls get knocked down. So Nur al-Din manages to stave off the attack by hurriedly rebuilding these fortifications and in trying desperately to hold off. But earlier in the century, they did the same thing. Right? William of Tyre describes a hit early in the 12th century where the Duke of, or the Count of Edessa has to do the exact same thing because Nur al-Din attacks him after an earthquake. So this is something that happens on and off regularly. The 1170 earthquake is significant though because it hits the entire region and is as basically comparable in size, in magnitude, to the one that struck in 2023. And I have here, though you cannot read it super well, I'll read it out for you, taken directly from a translation of Ibn al-Athir's Kamil fil Tarikh. When Nur al-Din received the news, he went to Baalbek to repair the damage to its walls and citadel. When, however, the news from the rest of the towns came to him, news of the destruction of their walls and citadels and their abandonment by the inhabitants, he placed men in Baalbek to repair, protect, and guard it, and went to Homs, where he did the same, and then to Hama, and then to Baran. He was extremely wary of the danger for the towns from the Franks. Then he came to Aleppo, where he saw effects of the earthquake greater than elsewhere, for it had destroyed it utterly, and the survivors were totally terror-stricken. They were unable to shelter in their houses for fear of aftershocks. They remained in the open. Nur al-Din personally took part in the repair work, and so continued until he had rebuilt its walls and mosques. The well-known attack actually happens in 1170 because Tyre, Antioch, and Edessa, equally as Aleppo, suffered the destruction of their citadels and the collapse of their walls. Everyone has to just stop fighting each other for a couple of years in order to rebuild. And yet, the focus is not on relief and recovery. It is on rebuilding the walls so that they can go back to war. There are occasional exceptions to this. In the 13th century, the Crusader kingdoms sell food to the Mamluk Sultanate after a different environmental crisis, and Baldwin III of Jerusalem at one point waives the merchant taxes in order to encourage food supplies, but by and large, humanitarian relief is minimal. Instead, you get these enormous fortifications like Crec de Chevalier, this hospitaller castle I mentioned earlier. After the 1170 earthquake, it is rebuilt to be so symmetrical and the walls so thick that it can survive the wrath of the worst natural disasters. And it survived 1200 or 800 years, so mission accomplished on that front. But as we think about this in relation to Assassin's Creed, all these great figures that we see, Salah al-Din, Richard the Lionheart, William of Montferrat, Al-Mualim, and everyone else, we must realize, right, in humanitarian terms, they suck. They are not good people. And so when I think about what has been accomplished as we just crossed the line to $18,600 raised for Save the Children, what stands out to me is the chance to be better than these figures praised for their generosity in these medieval sources, praised for their virtues and nobility of character. What we are doing, what you all are doing by donating and by being part of this charitable effort, is being better. The children and families affected by the earthquake are desperately in need of help, both material support, heat, shelter, food and water to recover and rebuild safely, financial support to rebuild their lives and replace what is lost, and psychosocial support to ensure that the trauma inflicted on them, unlike in the medieval period where this trauma was expected and inflicted and the nobility did nothing about it, we have the chance to ensure that their lives are not long-term devastated by this earthquake. And so we can be better than these great historical figures. And as we imagine the significance of studying the past and the importance of exploring history through topics like Assassin's Creed, that's what I'm left with. What we do here today matters and lets us be better than these historical figures.
sleeping for days under rubble of buildings that fell on them. Thing.
Sorry, I had it accidentally muted. Oops. So if you want to just summarize that up real quick, that was my bad on the tech hiccup.
Okay, yeah. So Ludo history was was right, and I think like Syria and Turkey. I mean, especially Syria, has been getting the worst of it because of the war torn country that it is, and it's not funded uh, greatly. Whereas Turkey has more support, but it it is important to say that these countries both need help um, in terms of the care that goes to the children. The whole reason that uh, I chose to go for Save the Children Foundation is because it focuses on the Syrian and Turkish kids, and they're the children of tomorrow. They're the ones that think eventually might might be gamers or are gamers, but they went through this horrible time, like a building uh, fell on them, and they had to survive for days. So that's why we're doing it. We're doing it for the kids.
And
Um,
I just want to add too to that, and forgive me for my candor. Um, it's really not complicated. Like you don't really need to describe what children are like. If just the word children are stuck under rubble doesn't move you, go watch a video. Go see what that's like. If you really need that point of empathy, go watch it. And like I said, forgive me for being candor, but truly, like it doesn't even matter. Just this, it's not complicated. This is for children. This is for Save the Children.
Agreed.
The organization is called Save the Children.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need anything more than that. There are eyes on this. There are people who see this, and there are people who share, but like it's really not complicated.
yeah,
Agreed.
and we thank you
And
for sharing.
yeah, and on that note, though, right, we have done something remarkable here. We crossed $18,600 over the course of today's stream. So these funds that you all have raised go to the best possible use to help benefit these people. So thank you all so much for what you have done. That being said,
Yeah,
right, Assassin's Creed Community Relief is not done yet. There are 2 days left in the fundraiser. So if people want to continue participating, have some good Assassin's Creed content, and continue to raise money for Save the Children, Arsh, what's coming up in the next couple of days?
so first of all, I just really wanted to thank you all, chat, for being here. I see 23 of you right now, and I think the chat has had like I don't know 60 people in here. If you're watching this later, thank you so much for putting your time over here, for caring about history, about learning about Syrian history through Assassin's Creed, and for donating. Like we thank you so much, and and your donations are gonna help kids in like numerous ways. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yes.
thank you to Ludo History for hosting this event and for helping us plan it, a lot of it. So we're really grateful. And
Yes.
um, uh, now what we have going on in the future, as in tomorrow.
Uh,
Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna say I was gonna give one more note of thanks, but you can give the schedule, first.
you can say the note of things.
Okay.
Thing.
Okay. So before we move on to the schedule of upcoming events, I just want to say again, like, thank you for the donations. Thank you so much. Every dollar counts. Thank you very much. Or as they say in my country, maraming salamat po sa inyo. Thank you very much again. And I want to give a really big muchas gracias to Ada, and a really big molto grazie to Sophia EA16, the other two co-researchers who could not who helped with the research for this stream. They were not they were unfortunately not able to make it to speak with us, but they did give us a lot of research, and it helped prepare for the stream. So muchas gracias, molto grazie to Ada and Sophia respectively. Sophia, no, oh wait, Ada is also a co-admin for the Creed Scholars, who I mentioned earlier. Now, one final thing. If you liked our gameplay, the gameplay that was featured on this stream, it was actually recorded by me on my PlayStation 3. If you want to watch the gameplay again, I just uploaded a video to my YouTube channel, which is a video compilation of all of the gameplay featured in the stream, and it is in chat. There you go. Thank you all again for your donations, and I hope to see you in the upcoming events, which Arsh will detail right now.
So yeah, the upcoming events will happen on Sunday, March 5th. Well, Sunday, March 5th is today. That's little history. But tomorrow, I think, as we finish with this, tomorrow, Monday, March 6th, we'll start us off with Vlad the Impaler. Thing, a Twitch stream, with Curse of the Pharaohs. This will be, I think, Adam, do you mind me copying another streamer's thing into your chat?
Go for it.
Okay. This will be the streamer for Curse of the Pharaohs for tomorrow, and you can win giveaway prizes over there too. And after that, literally after that, at 11:30 a.m. PST, Access the Animus will be, I think, streaming on YouTube. We're gonna be doing a lot of fun events, playing Assassin's Creed Revelations, and that I'm posting the link over here too. That is their YouTube, and at the end on Tuesday, March 7th, which is the final day for the fundraiser, we will be doing a whole Assassin's Creed community showdown, which will have us answering a lot of trivia questions about Assassin's Creed, and there will be a winner. Also, on that thing, on that live stream, we will be giving away an Altair 1/4 tall statue. It's valued at $800. We are giving it away with a special we are giving it away for in a particular type of giveaway. So be sure to be tuned into that, because you're not going to be getting it for $800. You're going to be getting it for much cheaper than that if you just donate and enter in the raffle to win that Altair big statue from Pure Arts.
Yeah, did you say that was an Altair Ibn Lahad, like 1/4 scale, human scale figurine?
Yeah, basically.
That's ridiculous. Holy crap, everyone, you gotta donate for that.
Yeah.
If you've seen the detail for this, it's incredible.
Jeez. So that's going to be Tuesday, March 7th. So like, if you want the world's largest piece of Assassin's Creed merch, be in that stream.
Yeah, I think it was very very generous of Pure Arts giving that to us, and that Altair statue is going to be basically shipped everywhere. There's no restrictions on it, so if you want it, uh, be sure to go on uh, Let's Talk Assassin's Creed's YouTube channel and be eligible for it. Here's the link. The the giveaway the stream will be starting at 12 p.m. PST. And if you want the schedules for any other stream, basically, you can go to acommunityrelief.org to see everything that we have lined up for the AC Community Relief fundraiser. But yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. So, once again, that's acommunityrelief.org for details on the remaining events in the stream and those future prizes, including that incredible statue. Still, though, that does it for us over here at Ludo History. Thank you all so much to everyone who participated. If you like this sort of historical content, I do things like this 3 times a week with games and other historical media, but thank you all much more importantly for your donations to Save the Children and for the awesome work you are doing there. So that does it for us tonight. Huge thanks to all my co-presenters and to Sophia and Ada for helping out with the research. And thank you everyone who stuck around in chat. That does it for us here. Until next time, we see you tomorrow over on the other AC Community Relief streams. I hope you all have a very good rest of your evenings. All right, good night.
Thank you very good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for attending. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.